The minimum wage exemption, something I'd never heard of because of privilege. It's a permit that allows people, mostly those with learning disabilities, to be paid less for their work based on their presumed lack of productivity. I'll be honest, I can't believe they've been getting away with this. It sounds bad. On the one hand, it offers employment opportunities without threatening people's disability benefit, but on the other, it violates foundational workers' rights and makes me feel weird. Am I right to be outraged? And if we're valuing people based on their productivity alone, shouldn't I have been fired constantly?
Do you like coming to work?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you do. Do you get paid?
Yes, we do get paid.
Do you know how much you get paid?
Don't know.
You don't know?
Probably 20.
20?
My mum's laughing. That's because I'm embarrassed.
She's got bad news.
So tell me about why were you feeling reluctant about the interview?
Oh, because it's a complex issue, and I think people want to bundle all disabilities into one and go, well, you know, someone in a wheelchair or somebody blind, how could you not pay them market rates? The answer is I'm not suggesting we should.
Right.
There's just one small group, those with an intellectual disability and or mental health that need an environment like this, or you're going to leave them at home sitting on the couch saying, I've got a right to earn market rates, but no one's going to give me a job because those labour-intensive jobs have either been outsourced to some sweatshop overseas or in New Zealand increasingly mechanised.
And do you think the benefit of having a job that pays you little is better than no job at all?
In this context, yes.
Well, the assumption is we're not capable.
Yeah.
And in my experience working with people who lack legal capacity, many of them have other forms of capacity if you just provide it in the right words, the right language, the right process.
Right.
The number of people I know that work very hard that are deemed intellectually disabled and yet can be great cleaners, great caregivers.
Yeah.
I mean, prior to colonisation, our Māori disabled weren't even deemed disabled.
Yeah.
They were helpers. They would garden. They would look after the kids,
Yeah.
look after the olds. They'd even go into battle. We label people. We compartmentalise them into what they can and can't do.
But by definition, if you're intellectually disabled in the modern world, you are not going to be as productive as an able-bodied person.
So that's kind of the crux, I guess, of that law, right, is that it's centred around this idea of productivity.
Yes.
Yeah, because I don't know that I philosophically can understand that as a rationale for enumeration, productivity, given that, like, my own productivity or your own productivity would vary across multiple different working days. You know, I'm never going to turn up to work and give everything.
You're kidding, aren't you?
No. I've always been paid at least minimum wage, but I've mostly been bad at my job. My second job, I got a job working at, which is like Subway but worse. I don't think I ever served a single customer. There has never been a worse patronised store in the entirety of Auckland. One time, a man came in and asked for a water, which I gave to him for free from the tap. And that's honestly the only customer experience I can remember. Anyway, I got an official warning there for closing the fridge door with my foot. In 2019, you said we want to get rid of it. What's the status of that at the moment?
So it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
It's certainly something that we committed to doing this term.
Yeah.
And that's still our commitment. Okay. We've done some preliminary work on it to consult with disabled people, with different stakeholders with regards to how we might do it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when that happens.
The reason they haven't done it is because, easily said, hard to figure out what you would do, which wouldn't just cause these organisations to close.
Right.
Philosophically, they don't like what we stand for, but they can't figure out what the better alternative is. So they're sort of playing for time.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I went, there's got to be a better answer. And all around the world, some of the countries have taken this away. And guess what they're doing now? Putting it back Australia has no problem with it.
I've never held Australia up as a standard.
Which is why I didn't make the argument.
Do you enjoy doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you enjoy doing it?
Are you lying to me? You don't enjoy it?
I probably say I enjoy it.
Because sometimes with my job, I like it, and then sometimes I'm like, ugh, not again.
Torture.
So most people who are working under the minimum wage exemption will also be receiving a benefit that ideally gives them enough money to kind of live their life.
Yes.
By.
Which it doesn't. I mean, the benefit on average at the moment is about $330 a week.
Fuck, it's not a lot of money, is it?
It's pathetic. And then for disabled people, you've got your medicine, your equipment, everything else. So the problem you've got is they're not only underpaid on supported living payment, they're underpaid in wages. And in effect, that's indentured labour.
So what is the alternative, I guess, to the minimum wage exemption then?
There isn't one. You pay them the living wage or the minimum wage.
So where we got to was basically that it needs to be a wage subsidy of some sort. And so MSD and MB have been working on the detail of that.
Yeah.
But what we want to be very confident of is the disabled people who have a minimum wage exemption applied to them, that they would be better off or no worse off, certainly with the new, process implemented.
All the best the government can say is that our employees would be no worse off under this. They're not going to be better off, right?
Yeah.
By the time you give us 80 or 90% of our income from government, we are a government agency. You may as well just shut it down and say it's some kind of daycare for people with intellectual disabilities.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not what they want. It's not what they want. Honestly, they don't. They want a job, right? A real job. And they know the difference. Most of them are here because of the friendship, the place to go, the sense of self-worth. Some of them have married each other. Some of them crossed the whole of Auckland to come here. That's been more on train fares to get here than they're going to earn. Why would you be doing that? They've already got a benefit. They don't want bloody benefits. They don't want bloody charity.
Yeah.
They want a job. This is an answer looking for a problem, right? What are you trying to fix here other than this? It offends somebody's sensibilities that this organisation could exist. Well, they do, and you've got to deal with the real world, not what it could have been, should have been, might have been.
I believe that is a cop-out. It is not too hard. Think outside the square. Our people are creative. Our people are diverse. Our community is more capable than people think we are.
Yeah.
It's a bit like my client that was happy she had a job at a rest home laundry.
Yeah.
Really happy. And when I asked how much she got paid, she said she gets lunch every day.
Yeah.
When I told her she has a right to be paid, she was terrified of losing her job.
Yeah,
And yet they would pay a non-disabled person to do the exact same thing.
Yeah,
We minimise the abilities of our communities. Basically, you insult them.
Is there another job you'd like to do, or do you want to stay in this one?
That's all.
You want to stay in this one, yeah?
I want to be on Charles Street.
You want to be on Shortland Street? Really?
Yes.
I'd love to be on Shortland Street as well. Oh my God, that's right. I worked as a swimming instructor. No qualifications whatsoever. I was consistently teaching babies to swim whilst hungover. I have a very vivid memory of having to get out of the lazy river to vomit. There are people with intellectual or learning disabilities who, I guess, oppose this.
Yeah, but most of them who can articulate that argument aren't that severely intellectually disabled.
But the fact, I guess, that a group of people are unable to articulate or advocate for themselves, doesn't it make it all the more important that we are more stringent when we advocate for them? That we are
That sounds
more...
pretty paternalistic, right? This is exactly the problem that they have, is that they don't come and see the people here. They purport to articulate on their behalf. I work with them each and every day. I live with one at home, and you're telling me that you know more about it because you've got some mild intellectual disability, or you're in a wheelchair, or you're blind, or you're limping, right? Give me a break, right?
Right.
Come and see this and tell me who's being exploited, right? To take it away is a crime.
Martin may hold a certain view,
Yeah.
and may be fearful of change because he may be unsure of what that will mean and how that will be implemented. But I can hand on heart say that disability advocacy groups and individuals and disabled people themselves that I've spoken to are absolutely for this change.
Yeah, right.
And, we didn't sign up to the convention, the UN convention, for nothing. And in fact, New Zealand played quite a leadership role with regards to that getting off the ground. And we didn't come up with the New Zealand disability strategy without some kind of philosophical understanding of what we believe needed to happen for disabled people, and disabled people believed needed to happen for themselves.
So this is the thing. We don't value our communities, from the highly skilled ones of us right down to those that lack complete skills. There is a small cohort that will never work.
Yeah.
We know
I
that.
think that's what Martin's talking about.
That's not the cohort. It's actually a smaller cohort that will never work. And those are the ones who can't communicate at all, are completely dependent on being fed, who, require 24/7.
Right, I see.
That group will never work.
Yeah.
And yet that group still provide value.
Do you think there's like a lesson to be taken for other employers in New Zealand, though, that the value a person with an intellectual or learning disability could add to your company is not
Absolutely,
purely
I do.
about productivity?
I do. Diversity of opinion adds a huge amount to a workplace. But if your intellectual ability is the equivalent of a 5-year-old, seriously, do you think most employers are going to take that on? I don't think so.
But I mean, we should always be striving, I guess, for what we...
Well, you could strive all you like. It isn't going to give them a job. How many of your film crew here have intellectual disability? Why aren't you employing them?
Yeah.
Right?
You're right.
So there's no answer, is there?
Well, I hope that's not the case.
Everyone
is an
hopes it,
answer.
but it is, right? I've knocked around, I've run large businesses. I know that they aren't going to take them on because to some extent, the productivity requirements and the supervision, the health and safety issues alone puts most employers off.
It was like quite a confronting moment for me of going like, oh yeah, I don't know if I'm doing my part here in ensuring inclusion and representation. And then I go, do you have anyone on your staff with a learning disability?
Yeah. And what do I have anyone on my staff with learning disability? I'm not sure. I mean, people don't always state
there are hidden disabilities. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not sure whether or not we do have anyone in the office with a learning disability.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So my parents owned like a small house painting company, which when I got into comedy, they were like, why don't you run it? And that can be your side job to earn yourself some money while you're trying to make it as a comedian. A year later, after the company existing for 20 years, it shut down. I ran it into the ground. Do you think you're good at your job?
Yeah, nice.
Do you think I'm good at my job?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Sammy, you don't seem so sure.
Okay.
Oh, Mum.
What would Sammy be doing if she wasn't coming in here to work during the day?
Not much,
Really?
basically.
Yeah. So for you, is it peace of mind, I guess, when she comes here?
Yeah. It
Yeah.
is. She's got something to do. She's got a purpose to get up,
Yeah.
and she wears her Altus top proud and go to work.
Yeah.
And I pick her up. I say, how was your day? Fantastic or amazing
Yeah.
or awesome. But she loves it.
So how do you feel then about the fact that the current government has said that they want to get rid of the minimum wage scheme?
Yeah, I would prefer that they didn't get rid of it
Yeah, right.
because she has a benefit, and that whatever she earns here, it affects the benefit. If it went up, WINS
Yeah.
wouldn't be paying them that amount. And then if they left here, then you've got to go through the whole process again of applying
Right.
to get the benefit back. So
Is that quite, I don't really know. Is
dealing
that,
with WINS is not fun. You've got to fight for everything.
Yeah,
You have to fight and you have to stand up for your child.
yeah,
And if they can't speak for themselves,
yeah, right.
yeah, because they're vulnerable.
Yeah. Is she able to articulate herself with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, in a way that she might not necessarily, with me, a stranger
Yeah,
or
exactly.
something.
Yeah, like she got quite shy, but
Yeah.
she talks a lot.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And she's got quite a wicked sense of humour.
Gosh, the role of parents in like this advocacy of people with disability is like so crucial, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
She's lucky to have such a good mum.
Yeah. But hey, I'm lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, you are. I mean, she seems great.
Quite hilarious, don't make me cry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you crying? Then I'll cry.
No, I'm all right.
there's lots of progress that needs to be made. The fact that we're only launching a ministry for disabled people now, when it's been called for many years by many people, is probably too slow. And I would say in the employment space generally, we have an issue with regards to disabled people getting access to employment opportunities.
Yeah, into leadership roles.
And into leadership
Yeah.
roles.
Best case scenario, I don't know how to put this. The impolite way is, do you see the best case scenario as you losing your job to people with the lived experience?
Oh, you know, I'd much rather it was a disabled person that was the minister for disability issues.
Yeah.
And I think we want to get to the place where, just like with Māori development, just like with the Ministry of Pacific Peoples, just like with the Ministry for Women, that it wouldn't even be deemed a possibility that it would be anyone but someone from those particular population groups that would be leading those ministries.
Give us a chance. This is the whole point of this new ministry, was to do something different. Because we have got disabled that are very competent and capable and now have the skills to be able to lead that new ministry.
Yeah, right.
But there's an assumption we can't. Part of that problem is we've got no one in Parliament representing us.
Yeah.
We need to be building the skill base to bring our community up into those levels of leadership so that it does trickle down. The next generation, though, are making changes.
Yeah.
It's not my future anymore.
Yeah.
It's theirs.
When I first came here, I was too shy to talk to anyone.
And now?
No, I'm not shy anymore. I joke a lot.
Yeah.
I always make her laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
She's got bad news.
Thanks so much for talking to me. Sammy, I hope this gets you on Shortland Street. We'll put this in as your audition tape.